Pastor Marty, where is your proof that former Vice President Mike Pence was in this up to his eyeballs with Dr. Anthony Fauci? Stay tuned. All right, let's hit the ground running on this one. We won't do any build-up. We'll just get right to it. Fact, it was Vice President Mike Pence who in mid-February was placed in charge of the whole how to handle corona by then President Donald Trump. It was fact that Mike Pence assembled the corona task force. He handpicked the people that were going to be on there, and one of those people happened to be Dr. Anthony Fauci. When all this got rolled out on February the 26th, before the media, President Trump spoke for several minutes, then Vice President Pence did, then a representative from the CDC, a couple of other people spoke, and then Anthony Fauci stepped up and began to talk, and immediately he was asked by a reporter, "Who are you?" In other words, this little swamp-dwelling creature who had been in Washington, D.C., in the swamp for the past 40 years, was so ineffective and so uneventual that he just simply was not known. And he had to stand up there and introduce himself. I find that ironic because to hear the media speak of Anthony Fauci, why this guy is on a level of sainthood. Why they're thinking about naming Catholic churches after him now. You know, Saint Anthony Fauci Stein. It's unbelievable. He is a complete and total canard and media creation. The only thing that really grabbed the media about this guy initially was the fact that he was on the Corona Task Force and he said things that were a little bit contradictory to what President Trump was saying. And the media was all about the division. The media was all about, aha, this guy doesn't agree with Donald Trump. And once they did a little homework on him, they discovered that he is what he was and is a liberal Democrat. So then, poof, they loved this guy, and we were off to the races. Despite the fact that even in 2003, when he appeared on C-SPAN, a doctor called up while he and the C-SPAN hosts were talking about a SARS outbreak that we were dealing with at that time, and this doctor said, "You've been in Washington, D.C. forever. It's time for you to resign."
We hear from a physician in Durham, North Carolina. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Dr. Fauci.
Good morning.
And, Pedro. You've been at the NIH a pretty long time, and it seems to me that during your tenure, our ability to control infectious diseases hasn't improved, but in fact worsened. And even basic health tips such as you can't use antibiotics to treat viral infections has not been adequately communicated to the public. Not saying that this has anything to do with this particular SARS epidemic, but don't you think it's time that you step down and let someone else who has a more effective message?
Actually, no.
So Anthony Fauci, absolutely ineffective against AIDS. He never got a vaccine. He never got a cure. He never got anything. What he gave us was masks and rubber gloves. Where have we heard that before, gang? So, the lab leak theory is now being accepted by the lying legacy corporate corrupt mainstream media now that Trump is gone. By the way, you're going to find out something else that the president was right about. Hydroxychloroquine. Bum, ba-dum, bum. Yes, there are new tests coming out now that, hey, this stuff works. Now, I heard Dan Bongino say that the reason hydroxy was attacked by the media was because, well, Donald Trump said something good about it, therefore it had to be bad, 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 bad. Now, there was more to it than that. Way more to it than that. It had to do with the fact that, well, Fauci had a vaccine to sell. And there couldn't be anything that derailed or circumvented the need for this, quote, miracle drug, love potion number 9, that was on its way. Because remember, when it looked like Trump was going to be reelected, well, we were still a couple years away from having the vaccine. And then poof, once November happened, by December, we had the pharma coming out saying, we got it. We got the vaccine. We can start dispensing it next week. The truth is, they had the vaccine all along because this was created in a lab. The antidote was ready to go. The lab leak, whether accidental or on purpose, it happened. They had the wonder drug ready. They were holding it, suppressing it, didn't want to do a thing to help Donald Trump. And then once they were fairly confident that there wasn't going to be an overturn of the election, there wasn't going to be any real serious investigation or recounting done, that Biden was going to be the guy. Poof, Batman, we got it. We got it. And remember, we have now got the email trail to prove that Biden was in up to his eyeballs on gain-of-function research, that he funded it, that he financed it, that initially he downplayed masks, not because he was not lying to save the mask supply. He was downplaying masks because he didn't want to create a panic because he was worried he'd be in trouble. And then when he realized that people were just scared and they wanted answers and they were turning to him, fawning and having premature orgasm over just the mere mention of Anthony Fauci's name because the media had propped him up as this is the guy, this is him. That then Anthony Fauci decided the best way to handle this so that, again, he wouldn't get blamed was to just keep fear-mongering, push the social distancing, push the lockdowns, push the mask, keep everybody afraid, virtue signal. Everywhere you look, you must see a mask. Blame Trump. The economy's tanking. We need change. Stop. No. I want this to go away. And then finally, when I step forward, I, the great Anthony Fauci, who defecate marble, when I step forward with the vaccine, you will bow down and worship me. That's what kind of narcissistic little dillweed we're dealing with here. But let's not forget, he and Mike Pence, they go back. They go back to an outbreak in Indiana while Mike Pence was then governor. And I asked the question in a previous monologue, was Indiana the test market? Mike Pence and Anthony Fauci have traveled around the world and they have spoken at conferences to world leaders and World Health Organizations about here's how you get a population ready for a pandemic and the steps that you take to limit freedom. These are the steps that you take. You say, Pastor Mark, you've been saying all this stuff, but where's the proof? How do we know this is true? You ready? Here it is. Everyone in the mainstream media now is looking seriously at the lab leak. They get it now. A lot of the mainstream media, they're very troubled by these Anthony Fauci emails. Anthony Fauci has lost enormous respect. Republicans who were hesitant to pounce because, especially if they were, seen as, I don't want to be considered a Trumper. This has even given Witness Protection Romney some courage to say some things about Anthony Fauci. Marco Rubio is finally on board with talking about Anthony Fauci. The Democrats have circled the wagons only because they don't want to admit wrong. But here is the proof of Mike Pence. He is stone cold silent on all of this. Why is it Mike Pence out there saying, I, look-alike to Race Bannon and good, dedicated, Bible-believing Christian, need to apologize to America. I'm the one that recommended Anthony Fauci to President Trump, and now it looks like he lied at best, and at worst, This was planned. But Pence is saying nothing. And you know why he's saying nothing? Because that's what guilty people do. They just stay quiet, hoping that you don't look in their direction. Now, if he thought that he could possibly get away with it, he'd be out there all over Fauci. But there's obviously too much audio, too much video, which is probably some of the things that Anthony Fauci is using to continue to do what he does, and warning certain politicians and key figures, I've got you on tape. If I go down, you're going down with me. Because that's how the swamp works. So, Mike Pence's deafening silence on the Wuhan lab leak, and his silence on the Fauci emails, and Fauci funding gain of function, and Fauci maybe even involved up to his little eyeballs in the creation of what happened to us, along with a so-called magic formula love potion number 9 vaccine, the fact that the former VP is just not even talking about it. Boom. Hey, thanks for watching. Make sure you're a subscriber to the channel. Smack the bell, click the word all to get notification of my next rant.